Right, so let's convert a photo to black and white using various techniques. Now, bear in mind that there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different ways to convert an image to black and white. So you really need to find kind of your favourite that gives your images your own kind of voice or style. So have a look at a few of these. We're going to use Photoshop, Lightroom, and AC/DC processing software just to show you a few simple methods to convert an image. So here we have a wedding couple in a full colour image. Let's just go very quickly and show you the first one. We go to Image, Mode, Grayscale, discard colour information, and there you have a black and white image. Very dull, very bland, but very quick. If you really just want a quick black and white image, you can use this way, but you can see there's not much contrast to the image. It's literally just taken the colour out and not very good at all. So that's just one way. We don't really like that one. The next way is to go to Image, Adjustments, and then we go to the channel mixer, which has the red, green and blue channels, and also a monochrome button here, which we're going to press, and there you go, you have a monochrome image. But the best thing about this is you're able to adjust the red, green and blue to get the kind of image you want. But if you look down here, we have a total percentage of the red, green and blue adjustments that we're making. As long as you keep that to around 100 all the time, you should be okay. So if you want to make some crazy redness and go for a kind of almost infrared look, you whack the red channel up and then bring the others down until you get to the 100% here. And you can see that's kind of gone almost infraredish. It looks a bit weird because the eyes have gone really dark and the skin's gone really pale. So, you know, if that's an image you like, that's great. But really, you want to be keeping them fairly consistent throughout. But again, you can use these channels and it's infinite how many different ways you can actually convert the image, but as long as you get to 100% you should be okay. So by averaging the three out there, we've actually got to 99%, and the skin tones look quite good. Probably could do with a little bit more lightness added here on the faces, but generally that's quite a nice conversion. But again, it's not one of the best ways of actually converting an image to black and white, but it is one where you can play to your heart's content until you get it just right. But it's going to take a long time. And you know, there are ways of doing this that other people have already sorted all these kind of best looks out for you, which we're going to look at in a second. But that's one you can use the channel mixer and play with the RGB channels until you kind of get an image you like. But remember to tick the monochrome box. So let's cancel that and go back to colour. Another pretty cool way is some free software. It's called Optic Verve Labs, and it's Virtual Photographer. Now I'll give you the link to that after this video, or somewhere within the video you'll see a link to their website. And this software is a bolt-on for Photoshop, and it's absolutely free and it's fantastic. So let's just load that quickly. Comes up very quickly there, so let's just switch this off. There's so much you can do in here. There's so many different effects. You've got all these custom presets. You can change the ASA, so we can hit that and go to 1600 and add some grain. But really we're just worried about black and white for now. So if we switch on the photographic style here, and let's turn these off, then you can add all kind of different effects to the image. But if we go down to black and white, you can see in the image there it's gone normal, so it's just a normal black and white conversion. If we just process that quickly, I'll say quickly, there we go, it's just converted it to a not a bad black and white kind of image, but you know, it's not bad, it's not brilliant, but again it's a very quick and simple and free way of converting an image to black and white. So let's just open that up again, the virtual photographer, and see what other effects they've got. Within here you've got warm. I'm not going to use convert each one. We can actually see it on the screen. Let's have a look. No, you can't. It's not the same as Lightroom. So if I now pick a antique black and white, you can see there it's not fantastic, but we can adjust the value of that using this slider here. So we can actually bring the intensity of that antique image down. Now that looks quite nice. It's very sepia-fied. And again, if you look here, you've got maybe 8 or 9 different types of black and white, and then you can use the slider to adjust the intensity of it. So let's just process that one. But you can see there, just by having those different 8 or 9 effects with the slider, you've then got another, oh dear, don't like that at all. Let's go back. Let's go back into virtual photographer. And it obviously didn't adjust the slider enough, so let's take that back down to there and now process it. Come along. We've then got quite a nice looking antique kind of aged photo. Now I quite like that. There's no need to flatten it because there's no layers, but what you can do with an image like that, if you wanted to, is just add a bit of a vignette around it. So we just click and drag the elliptical marquee tool here, and we set the feather to 250, which is the largest pixel radius, and then select inverse, go to image, curves, and then just drag the dark end of the curves downwards, and you can see we're creating a vignette effect. So there you've got quite a nice agey looking photo, which the couple may or may not like. It's all down to personal preference, but that is a much better way than just converting something to grayscale. You've got a bit of interest there, you've got some kind of aged look, you've got not just your normal grey tones and everything, you've got quite a nice sepia looking image. So that's one using the Faststone the virtual photographer from Optic Labs. I'd recommend getting that. It's a fantastic bit of software, and there's so much more you can do to photos, and again it's free, so that's a really good way of converting a photo to black and white using virtual photographer. If you want to spend some money, I recommend Kubota's Actions. They have lots and lots and lots of black and white effects. You can see in here, if we go to Artistic Tools Volume 2, you've got all these different black and white effects here. There's lots and lots, but my favourite is actually the new black and white. So if I just click that and set it running, you can see there it's got a really kind of good deep chocolatey feel to it. It's not just a complete grayscale image. It's got really good contrast and really good punch to it. And it just looks a lot better again than the converted grayscale. So this is what I meant by there's people out there that have actually gone through all these different conversions and made a set of actions for you to purchase and then just use to your heart's content. And I must admit, I use this one on Actions Volume 2 for most of my wedding shots because I just love it. I think it's a really nice, deep, rich kind of black and white conversion. So for this one, you will have a layer which you can flatten, and you can also work on and adjust. So again, you've got multiple variances of that conversion. So when you take into account all the other different kind of black and white conversions you have, then again you've got many different conversions that you can apply to an image. So let's just revert that back. That's another one using Kubota's Photoshop Actions. They do cost, but they are quality, so that's one you actually have to pay for. Now that's in Photoshop. We've gone through the typical grayscale conversion. Then we've gone to the channel mixer where you can make infinite adjustments. Then we've used free software with Optic Labs Virtual Photographer, and then we've used some of Kevin Kubota's Photoshop Actions. So already you've got a load there you can use in Photoshop, and most of them are free, so that's fantastic. So now let's quickly flip to Lightroom, and once again you've got let's go to develop. We've got the same image in there, and if you look at the Lightroom presets that come with the software, if you look at this square up here, as I run the cursor over them, you can see it giving the different effects. We've got an aged photo, which is way over the top, antique grayscale, antique light, black and white high contrast. So you just literally drag over until you find one you like. Let's have a look till we find a good black and white we like. Let's have a look at sepia's a bit too much. I quite like the selenium tone. Let's click that. You've got quite a wacky effect there, which you can also adjust here. Once you're actually in Lightroom, you can make different adjustments to that effect using all the sliders and tools that you get within Lightroom. So bring the exposure down. So you've got loads and loads you can do there. But if we just get that back to how it was, once again, Mr. Kubota has done a load of Lightroom presets, similar to the actions for Photoshop, but he's done them also for Lightroom. And some of the black and white ones in here are pretty good. You've got one called Black and White Baboom, which is quite nice. Again, it gives quite a nice kind of contrasty, chocolatey feel to a black and white image, so that's quite nice. You've got Hollywood style black and white, which darkens the eyes. It's almost going towards infrared, but it's still quite nice. And then you've got the actual infras where the greens go kind of really bright, and it just changes, gives it kind of a wacky look. Then you've got black and white punchy, which is quite nice. Again, it's very similar to the one I showed you in Photoshop. It gives a really kind of deep, rich, contrasty look to the image, so I quite like that one as well. Then you've got the red filter warm 2. There's just loads, black and white tasty. So they're, again, once you've got these defaults loaded into Lightroom, the presets, again, your options are virtually unlimited again, because once you've hit the black and white conversion you like, you've then got all the adjustments you can make here within Lightroom itself. So again, you've got another load there you can use within Lightroom, and it's well worth getting those presets because again, they're very useful. So that's using Lightroom. There's again multiple variances of converting to black and white there. And let's go now into AC/DC, which is a very simple piece of software and it's not that expensive. And again, you've got a very simple conversion software. If we go into the RGB here, you can, oh no, not the RGB, sorry, we need to go into the HSL and click saturation and just literally drag it over, and you've got a black and white image, and then apply it, and then you can print it and it's done. You can obviously don't save it over the original, just save it as a black and white conversion. So that's a very, very quick and simple way of doing it. Or you can go to modify, edit mode, and then into the color here, and then you can obviously do the adjustments there, and then you can change a few variances of it as well. But really it's not the best software to actually let's reset that. It's not the best software to actually make conversions, and I don't know of any add-ons that you can put into AC/DC to actually have these actions where they're already done for you. So it's not the best one, but if you've got AC/DC, at least you can make a black and white conversion using the saturation tool. Just drag it over and then you've got a black and white conversion. So it's not really one I'd recommend, but again, the software is fairly cheap and at least you can actually make a conversion in there. So I hope these quick tutorials and quick lessons on how to convert an image to black and white help. I would honestly recommend, if you've got some good software, buy some add-ons such as actions or presets that do the conversion for you, because once you've got those, if you want to convert a whole batch of images, it's very easy to do. You can just select the conversion that you like and then apply it to all images within a folder, and it's just done for you. So if you're converting a whole batch of maybe 1,000 wedding photos, it's just done in an instant. You go and make a cup of tea, when you come back it's all done, and they've all got that same kind of quality, and it's got the same touch for every single image, so they're not changing radically, and it gives it your own kind of style. So I hope those help. Have a practice. If you've got any of those bits of software, load a photo in and have a practice until you find a type of black and white conversion that you like, and then just stick with that. But I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks very much. We'll see you on the next video.